And we're back. You got our healer and our protector with Ryan and Lisa. And we figured it out from the last episode. It did take some massive amount of Googling because I had no clue. I am still part of the 1% that has never seen Game of Thrones. And ding, 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 ding. That's what Lisa was talking about is Game of Thrones. So maybe I'll have to start, but we're really going to actually get into healing begins when you stop talking about the past. And this might be a little bit of a struggle for certainly one of us because I'm more than happy moving on as fast as I can and getting away from the past. But I'm an infantryman and I believe that the offense is the only way to operate. There's no such thing as defense. So yeah, we'll get into it. So we're going to shift our focus from trauma stories to transformation stories. And for some of us, that might take a minute. And then we're going to look at things, how things are now, how we can actually embrace our past and grow from them and learn that it doesn't define us. And this is certainly something for me that took a little while, like I said, with my alcoholism and my prescription drug addiction, with those labels, like, hi, my name's Ryan and I'm an alcoholic. It's no, hi, my name's Ryan. I'm a recovering alcoholic, a prescription drug addict, and life's amazing. And it's one of those things that we can certainly not allow that to define us. And with that being said, Lisa, the difference between processing and reliving our past, what do you think when you hear that?
This is really hard for me as a woman. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. This is difficult for me. I like to talk more. I like to talk about the past. I'm a deep thinker when it comes to this. I keep living the past sometimes to figure out my future.
Can I ask a question on this one, though?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Do you look at reliving the past, hoping that there'd be an apology or there would be some form of explanation? Like, why do you put yourself through that pain?
This
Again.
is my people pleasing coming out because I always want to know why. And you know what? I'm learning really hard. We're not going to get whys.
Takes a pretty emotionally mature person to be brutally honest. That's the aspect, right? For someone to take accountability for their actions, to actually be responsible for their treatment of others. I mean, for us to like really heal ourselves, to really like take that cold, dark heart like out, put it on the table. Well, God's got to come in, he's got this sweet dream team of surgeons. And, he can either revive that heart and make it all fleshy, beautiful again, and so forth, or he's got to completely transplant a new one in there. And I guess when I look at that, that to me is like the necessity of like this stop. And you can't allow the past to come back in because all those demons then like, I don't know, maybe I should watch that Game of Thrones or whatever kind of thing where like they're all coming.
Yeah.
I think I did see a commercial from that perspective where the horde comes rushing in.
Growing is forgiving. Growing is forgiving yourself and others. Living mindfully, I have to pray every day on this. I have to wake up. I need to pray on my past and my present. And you know what? Being present in your presence is so important. Like talking about this, when you keep reliving the past that brought hurt to you, you're just in the wilderness doing that merry-go-round thing. You need to forgive because people all are doing the best that they can at that time in that situation. People ask me all the time at work, like, how do you do it? How do you come in so happy and get the team going? That's my belief and my prayer in God. And I can leave my stuff at home and be my best self at work. Being your best self at home in your own self and quiet is really hard.
Well, I think, it's certainly, there's some stuff you can do for that though. I mean, you kind of talked about like prayer and that's extremely important. I mean, for me, I never, go to sleep or when I wake up without prayer and gratitude. is very important. And then also, I mean, we talked about it last time, but journaling your thoughts. There are a few other ways to do it where you can, get a little exercise and work on that mindfulness or that meditation. It's called yoga. Actually going to Core Power Yoga here in the Minneapolis area. So put a little shameless plug in there for them. And basically, that lets you just really let it all hang out. And no, that doesn't mean run around naked. It basically means that you're sitting in maybe, hot yoga is actually even the most amazing thing because you get all of it in. But then maybe that takes a little bit away from the mindfulness because you do struggle with how hot it is in there. But yeah, if you can tie all of that together and, in your prayer, meditate at the same time, where it's quiet, you have your safe space. Maybe those who have young children, that's a little harder, so you might have to work something out with whomever to get that little bit of peace and serenity that would come with not having little people around. But finding that so you can really, go to places that, you might not ever get the apology that you're looking for. You might not ever get the true discussion of two emotionally mature adults to talk through your emotions and your feelings. It's one of those things. If people are disrespectful to you, like that's basically when you unfortunately have to make the hard decision, do you really think that friend, that partner, that family member maybe is really going to change? And, you can only control yourself. So maybe you went around the merry-go-round one too many times.
It's kind of like that aspect of how to stop being a victim of your history and start being the author of your future. And I am getting there. It's taken a long time. I've had to process something for about 5 years now. And this is going to tear me up. I don't regret anything. The people that I have loved with my whole heart. I'm happy that we got to be a part of their life. And this is how I get through things too. God brings people into our life for a while, a season. We grow and we learn. And it's okay to let people go. But the other thing we have to say to ourselves, it's okay for them to let us go. And that's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, sure, most of us have heard this saying is, God will not give you peace with anyone who's not meant to stay in your life. And, that can come from a lot of different ways, meanings. That's the aspect of if it's 1 year or 100 years, for me, it was, a 25-year partnership with somebody, who you believe is like truly your soulmate. Things change, things happen. And there's that valley that's created, separation. And it's one of those where it can hurt pretty bad. Like I said, we all have feelings. Men have feelings too, and I know what it feels like to have a broken heart. God will help you mend that heart. He can help you sew it back together, or maybe he'll just give you a brand new one. I think for me, that's what happened, when I finally did the work. He said, hey, I can fix this for you. You put the time in, you've done the hard. So let's go in and just have one massive surgery. No more bypass, no more whatever. Let's throw a new one in there. And that can be hard for everybody around you, I think, because maybe they're not ready to move on. They want to keep talking about the past. Just kind of how we started this episode. And unfortunately, you just kind of have to leave them where they are and allow them to do the work, allow them to grow. Maybe they find God and, he'll give them a new heart, or, maybe at least mend their heart. When you can finally become emotionally mature enough to act, whatever that looks like, whatever that sounds like. But it certainly is in continuing to talk about the past and hoping, because hope's only a method, remember.
But it's going to change.
It's going to change because you're just trying to control the narrative. And that doesn't help anybody.
And this is where you need to forgive yourself and others. And to truly understand what it means to forgive people, to forgive who they are or what they've done, and to forgive yourself for trusting, because you truly can't become your true self or your whole self if you stay in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I believe God doesn't want us to. I mean, He wants us to live for today and today only. You know, yesterday's gone. You can't change anything about that, and tomorrow's not here. So just enjoy right now. Just be present right now. Two ears, one mouth. So just open these things up and listen. And when you believe you have actually something worthwhile to contribute, you know, where you've actually cared for the other person, you've made eye contact, you know, you absorb everything that they want to give you, and then just listen and take that in and be appreciative that you have people in your life that like truly care about you. You know, just remember always it's quality over quantity. You know, just because you have a big circle doesn't mean you have a circle, you know, and have that ability to forgive others. But first of all, you got to forgive yourself, because until you forgive yourself, it's just an empty promise to somebody else when you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, because you haven't healed yourself. You haven't done the work, and you'll continue to hop back on the merry-go-round and take it around one more time and want to bring the past up again.
Ryan, thank you so much for sharing all of that. It's not only good for our listeners, I need to hear that stuff, just like the next person needs to hear that. I think everyone should try one simple daily practice: gratitude, journaling, quiet time, affirmation, to ground yourself in the present. And today, I want to thank you, Ryan. I want to thank my mom and dad. I want to thank Jack and Grace. I want to thank my girlfriend Angie today, Amy, Carrie, Tanya, the people that have reached out, and Christine. I love you all. And I just want to say thank you for being a part of my life and listening. And I hope I do the same for you.
Gratitude's reciprocal. It's that aspect of, you know, if you're grateful for what you have, you'll get more. So you have to be grateful for what you have right now. Like, I'm very grateful that I have a 2-bedroom apartment, you know, so I can have this amazing studio, but don't worry, I'll put some pictures online or whatever. It doesn't look this awesome, you know, kind of thing. It's little and it's messy. And as an author, there's books everywhere, you know, as we keep cranking our protector development books out. And Lisa, you know, and I put together our protector development and our healer restoration, how we meet each other, some of this stuff, how we grow. It's how we learn. It's how we truly love as children of God. Yeah, this is a pretty special one, because the past, it does define us from the perspective of, you know, where we came from, but it doesn't, you know, define who we are. Just part of the lessons that got us here. And so we can really be grateful for today, and got some pretty special circles out there of folks that love us and we love them. I think that's probably close to time to say goodbye. And looking forward to the next time we can chat with everybody, and send your questions in. And we look forward to continuing to chat.
And let's go, people. Find your passion and go for it, and stop living in the past and start your future today. See ya. Peace.
Bye.
Jesus loves ya.